In this video, you are going to get a behind the scenes look of Church Gear. They are a company run by this dude right here, Toby. They will, well actually, you know what? I'm not gonna explain what Church Gear does. I want you to explain what Church Gear does, Toby.
Awesome.
Tell us what you do and then give us a tour of this beautiful facility.
So welcome to Church Gear, and if it looks like a, church production closet on steroids, that's exactly what it is. So we at Church Gear, we come to your church and we will buy most, if not all, of your old production gear that you guys have decommissioned, that you phased out of, that is taking up your precious storage space all over the church campus. We will buy it on the spot, load it up in a truck, and take it away. So your headache is gone. And then really our mission is to test through everything, refurbish as needed, and to resell and get it into the hands of smaller churches that don't have the budget for all the new gear that the larger churches do. So that's kind of the, the perfect circle of gear from your closet going to smaller churches that need it. So we're gonna do a quick tour and you can see some of the stuff that has come out of church closets. Anything from tape decks and CD players and VCR.
VCR? Man, do you have any overhead projectors here?
Oh, we have lots of, oh, not an overhead projector, like an old school slide projector. That would be fun, but no.
Regular projectors.
Plenty of regular projectors.
Yep, yep.
So audio, video, lighting, and music gear. We'll even occasionally buy a Mac Pro if it's, a later model. Stuff like that. A lot of streaming stuff, lighting dimmers.
What's the deal with this guy right here?
So that board, everything works great except it doesn't have a screen. The screen was dead and you can't order a replacement screen. So we're essentially waiting to get another Pro 2 that has a good screen, but the rest of it is dead.
Got it. Did we already talk about how this space that they're about to see here is probably going to be temporary for you guys?
So we moved into this space right about a year ago and we outgrew it within 6 months. So we are putting things wherever we can find space and even off-site storage, but we are moving to a new location. So Jake, you're gonna have to come back in about 6 months, hang out with us at our new location, and I don't know, I'd give us at least, what, 2 or 3 weeks before we outgrow that space? Yep. But come on with me, let's do a little tour.
Yeah, so let's look at some of the different categories of gear that you've got. So
how about like a Clang Fabrique right here, something, very current and popular. So we have a whole bunch of Martin DSP power amps. These came from a church in St. Louis area, and I think it was Faith Church in St. Louis, and they had a whole Martin line array that they decommissioned. So we got the amps, the subs, the tops. We've already sold the tops, but we still have the subs and the amps. Things will go in pieces. But obviously a lot of power amps, EQs, rack gear, projectors, even guitar amps. We got a Vox AC15 and some Buddha, hand-wired tube guys down here.
And I do want to say, guys, all this stuff is on their website. So if you check out the link below, obviously you don't have to remember everything we're covering here. This is to give you a feel for the type of equipment that they have in stock, and it's always changing. It's always being updated. I think Blake was telling me about the weekly update that you guys send out.
Yeah, so it's called the early service. If you go to churchgear.com/early service and you sign up as an exclusive invite to the early service, every Monday morning you get an email in your inbox with our coolest, most popular gear that's coming out that week, and you get to see it 48 hours before it goes live. So like the Clang Fabrique, for example, if you were looking for one of those and you saw it on our early service, you would respond and say, hey, I need that. I want it before anybody else can get it. And then we would just sell it to you directly. So you don't have to compete with the rest of the world to purchase gear, especially in this climate of supply chain issues.
Yeah, and here's what I think is really cool about what you guys are doing here and the opportunity you're creating is that a lot of the gear we're seeing, even though it might be dated, it's still functional for a lot of church situations today. But when you also compare like the price, like a lot of this gear was, I don't know, so like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x more back when it was purchased new.
Yes.
And a lot of the gear you guys get come from these larger churches. Like, look, you get a DL 71 stage box.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of churches are phasing out their Midas Pro series right now, even though it's still fantastic gear, and Sweetwater and Full Compass will still sell you a new system. Yeah. But it's going to last. If a church is upgrading from something like an iLive or a Yamaha M7 and they want to go to the Midas Pro series, like this is a huge upgrade, but at a price point they can afford rather than what it was new, which was sometimes upwards of $100,000 depending on the system.
Yeah, so you guys are making it convenient both for the churches that are, you know, upgrading their systems. They want a way to kind of steward their old gear well and like actually, you know, get some money for it, get rid of it. Don't just like throw it away in the junk somewhere. Don't waste a ton of time on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist having to like list it all, take pictures of it all. You're helping them out. But then for the folks who just like want some really sweet gear at a like steep discount than what it would have been new, you get to help them out as well. So, dude, it's crazy. I mean, like this whole idea makes a ton of sense. But what I think I came across one of your job postings in a Facebook group a couple of weeks ago. That's how I heard about you. And I think actually Adam probably heard about you too, and I think he mentioned it. But it's just like so simple, but so needed. But it seems like there wasn't anybody doing this until you guys were.
And this is Boggs, Brian Boggs. He's one of our techs here. So for example, we got a Yamaha DM2000. He's going through everything on it. He's firing every channel. He's checking the faders movement. What else goes into, you know, running it through its paces for you, Boggs?
Full processes, making sure it acts as it should, the timing. Time code, that the faders are responding, that every single I/O that exists in the firmware works properly.
So for us, we don't leave this on the churches. If a church wants to sell us a DM2000, we're not expecting them to do what Boggs is doing with. But as we resell this to other churches, we want to put our name behind it, our process, and call it certified in that Boggs has gone through everything he just said so that you know it is fully functional, working as new, even though it's a used piece of gear.
And you guys, like, I mean, you're taking on quite a bit of risk, like buying something like this, I feel like, right? Because the people selling it to you probably can't really tell you how good of working condition it is.
Sure. It might have been sitting in their storage closet for the last 4 or 5 years, and they say it worked the last time we used it, but that's about it. So it's nice working with churches in that most of them are fairly honest. They will tell us whether they know if it works or not. And we just offer accordingly.
Got it. Let's take a look around this corner here.
So we got our tech bench where every piece of gear, at least that fits, comes through, gets tested, whether it's audio, video, lighting. This is obviously chaos right now because we are so limited on space. We have 4 techs that work at this bench any given day, and they're often tripping over each other for resources because we've grown so fast. So as we move into our new space, we're gonna have great, you know, we're gonna have smart software at every workstation, just all the testing capabilities these guys need for everything they're doing.
That is a ginormous mixer.
So like a PM1D, and touring guys will know this board absolutely, and a lot of the big churches still will have these installed, maybe at Monitor World or front of house, but these, you know, were $60,000 and up when they were new, and it's like 10% of the cost these days. This still works 100%. It sounds amazing, but obviously it's older technology, so you find the right customer that wants or needs one of these, and it's a perfect fit for them.
How many channels is that thing?
Boggs, how many channels is a PM1D usually? 96. It depends on the I/O. So Boggs, if PM1D can be up to how many inputs?
96.
96, okay.
Historically, it's 6432. But yeah, you can run it at 96K is really what the 96 is all about. Yeah. Okay. And it's old school, and it's great.
Yeah. And you would still mix on a PM1D?
I would prefer to mix on a PM1D any day of the week, just because the thing that took me by it years ago was every console has a high-pass filter, but a PM1D was one of the first digital desks to have a low-pass filter on the input as well. So then Midas did it too, so did Digico. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love PM1D. It's huge, and it's got wood grain.
Yeah. Who doesn't like wood grain?
It's the PM10 of the past. PM10 is the future. That's a 1D now. That's all it is. Yeah.
Got it.
All those Gen Z kids on TikTok will be like, what are all those knobs for on that thing?
Get some more mixing boards and see if you're wanting more.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting...
It's kind of dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bunch of stage boxes. Are these supposed to like go with these consoles at all, or is it?
We part things out, so if a church wants a specific system, maybe they want a specific Pro Surface and they need a 371 as their audio engine, but all these boxes are interchangeable with the Pro system, so you can just mix and match based on whatever you need.
I saw these systems for the first time at a church in Florida the other day, like in person, and like how, I don't know if they're all the same features, but I think one thing that's fascinating is how it almost like it has a digital analog split built into the stage box right there, so you can like have 2 gain controls at different. So it's just like fascinating.
We bought a ton of these systems at Calvary Assembly in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, another Florida church that had, and they went to CL5 and PM10s. They just decided to go Yamaha, even though the systems were still great. It's just a preference thing.
All right, Toby, explain to us kind of the process of like when you actually even start from the top real quick. Like, I'm a church, I got a bunch of ton of old gear. What do I do?
Yeah. So you would go to our website, churchgear.com. On the home page, there's a button that says Sell Gear, and there's essentially a PDF form on there. We just need you to make a list of your gear. So you would say, ETC Source 4 Lecos, and you put the quantity. Do they have lenses? And do you know if they work or not? Next, and you would just go through and you make that gear list. We want to make it as easy as possible for tech directors because we understand that they have an incredible amount of work to do to get Sunday mornings up and running, and this is like the lowest thing on their list. So once we get that list, we price out everything, we itemize things so you know exactly what we will pay for it. We send it back to the church, and then the church can decide yay or nay. We always tell churches, if you have the time and energy to sell it yourself, of course you'll get more money for it, and your ministry will have more dollars in their budget. So if you have that time and that energy, we encourage that. If you don't, we like to be a very easy solution for you. So a lot of this gear, for example, came from churches in Missouri last week. We went to the Crossing at Chesterfield. We went to North Point Church in Springfield, Missouri, and we show up. They know ahead of time what we're paying for their gear. We load it all up as quickly as possible, essentially hand them a payment, and then it's gone. It's out of their hair. Truck arrives here at our warehouse, comes off the truck, comes into here, so we can sort through everything. Our techs immediately get to work. Lecos, for example, they got to sort through, do they have a lens? Is it firing? What is the, is it stage pin? Is it Edison plug on there? And then what is the lens degree on there? And so they'll sort them out, they'll organize, they'll test them, and then eventually it will go back to getting pictures is the next step for us.
You must have, you've been flipping things for so long, like you must have learned so much about gear and how it works through this process, because you're having to like troubleshoot stuff. And
so I was a worship pastor and I knew enough about tech to be annoying to tech directors, because I would act like I know stuff, but you talk to a straight up tech director and he could talk circles around me with gear. Like our techs here know way more. So if you ask me, what's a Leco? And I would say, well, it's a light. What does it do? It turns on. That's what I know. So, I'm more, I've always loved gear, but I've more been under the, like, is it cool? Is it not cool? And then eventually, how much is it worth? Because I've got to figure out, does it make sense for us to go out to a church, to purchase it from them, bring it all back, test it, and then resell it to another church? And there has to be a profit in there, because we are a for-profit business. We're not a nonprofit. We're very clear about that, but we want to serve churches at the same time. So it's kind of this fine balancing of serving those churches while being able to keep the lights on and paying for employees and salaries and keeping them, their families fed, essentially.
Wait, you've been getting paid this whole time?
Not you. You're here as a volunteer, because you know zero about tech.
I thought this was a nonprofit.
Blake, you're just the pretty face around here. That's it.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
more of a mascot.
okay, so it's coming here. It's gotten sorted.
Yep.
In terms of if you're a church that has sold your gear to Church Gear, like you're done. Like it's the thing is, well, it's actually done the moment they probably come to your church and give you the check and leave, right? Cool. And then for folks who or just kind of walk us through the journey of like you know, what's this mixing console going to do now that's been sorted?
So this will go to one of our techs. They will go through the entire process of testing every single channel, every input, every output. Once it is verified, once it is certified, it gets our, you know, thumbs up stamp on there. And then we'll go through the next phase of the reselling process, which at that point is pictures. If it does have any issues, if it needs repair, it'll go to another process. It'll hopefully, if we can find parts, that's the hardest thing these days, even just finding parts for these older consoles and such. But if it needs them, we track them down, we get it repaired, and then it comes back into the process.
Cool. Let's see the picture studio.
Yeah.
How important is this step of the process?
It's 100% important for reselling. If you've ever shopped on eBay or Reverb and you've seen, you know, a picture of something sitting on somebody's lap in their car and the lighting is terrible and you can't tell what kind of condition it is in, we set up a photo studio in here. It's a pretty simple setup, but once you zoom in on the gear, you take close-up photos, and we take at least half a dozen photos on everything so the buyer can see every single angle, and to them, they can clearly get a good vision of the condition of it.
Is this card about to be?
Yes, so all these items have been tested, they're ready to go, they're waiting for photographs.
What does FVV mean?
That is our internal SKU system.
Okay.
So just so as it goes back into the warehouse, it can be found easily when it's sold and shipped. So I mean, we got like D&B amps, Crown, QSC, like all the standard stuff, even to, you know, Fujinon box lenses down here.
Wow.
If you're doing an old school TV broadcast, split snake there.
Oh, it's a split snake. Wow.
And then we've even gotten to the point where we have to keep gear in the bathroom. So we don't like to show our dirty laundry, but let's just be open about it. We have so much gear that we are now even putting in the bathroom. So these color force lights came from Elevation Church, for example.
Wow.
Elevation, your gear's in the bathroom. I'm sorry. It's better off now than it was in a forgotten storage space, and will soon be lighting up the spirit at the next congregation. This is wireless land. Okay. So wireless mics, in-ear monitors, antenna distributors. We put them together in packages, photograph, test them, and then wrap them up together and organize them here. So if you're looking for some Sennheiser IEMs, for example, we have a ton from Elevation and other churches.
Wow.
There might even be one with a little bit of the Furtick dust left on it.
A little bit of Furtick dust. All right, so we walked through the ingest of gear, inspection, make sure it works, take pictures of it, someone buys the gear, then what happens?
So this is a huge part of the process that often churches don't think about when they think like, well, I'm gonna sell this gear myself. Okay, if you wanna sell it locally, that's one thing, but if you're planning to ship stuff, it's a whole different world. And I've been shipping gear for 19 years now, and I've seen the worst things happen to it. So we understand, like, you gotta have a huge supply of boxes and bubble wrap and styrofoam materials, and the understanding, like, what things should go in what boxes and how to build a custom box when you need to. So for us, we really aim to build the packaging process as a huge selling point for our company and service, and that gear is going to arrive safely. Because I know if anybody has bought stuff on eBay, Reverb, that you've probably experienced broken gear, and it is not fun. So we try and do everything we can to ensure that that process is done perfectly. Now, can UPS still, you know, throw it out of a spaceship back to Earth? Somehow. They somehow find ways to send it up with Elon Musk and then drop it back to Earth. So no matter what we do, there's still a possibility, but obviously we've got you covered. If you buy something from us, if it arrives broken, we will take care of it, we will fix it. So that's part of our guarantee.
What's the stamp?
Blake, bring your face over here. I'm gonna stamp at Church Gear. So we like to brand a little bit. You know, we've got a stamp. Just need a, piece of cardboard.
Get that baby up.
So it gets our little, you know, logo on there. Obviously it's better when I'm not the packing guy, so the packing guys are horrified. And then it gets our like branded tape on there too.
Oh wow, all the branded stuff.
I know, look at us go. And there's, you know, every one has a QR code for the early service, which we talked about, so it's easy to sign up for that. Blake, what else do you put in there? Like just
jokes and love.
Do we put like teenagers from the youth group in there that they'll just pop out and do chores and yard work?
You know, if we could do that, we'd probably be making a lot more money.
Probably.
Here's an actual box that's going out into the world. There's the Church Gear stamp. There's the Church Gear tape. Your Church Gear is here. This is a real box going to a real person.
Not a fake box.
Not a fake box.
Not an imaginary one. Yes.
So those are the orders coming in real time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's stuff from this weekend, maybe.
Yep.
Tippy, I'm glad you
How
thought
long
of
does
that,
it?
'cause, yeah, this is our big benefit.
How long does it take you to get it out the door?
Ideally the next day, but 2 business days at most.
Oh, like over 90% of our gear is within 2 business days.
Yeah. Unless it's freight or something special.
And other sellers like on eBay and Reverb, they can wait, depending upon the platform, up to 7 to 10 days to just ship it. Like your gear could have been bought and paid for sitting in someone's closet if it's a random seller for a week. But we get ours out within 2 days. As long as it's not freight. Then you got to, you know, do a little bit of communication. But anything non-freight's out in 2 days, 90% of the time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That's right. All right. So here's our office space and some of our guys. Say hi, guys. Hey. All these guys are either current or former worship tech people. They serve in their churches. Jonah, say hi, Jonah. Hello. He is lead guitarist extraordinaire. He can make a Kemper sing like Adele uses her voice, right? Chris does arranging and Ableton tracks and saxophone at his church. Boggs is a part-time tech director at his church. So all of us are serving in the church, doing various things while working here at the same time.
Are you hiring new people now? Are you looking to hire, or are you?
We're pretty much always hiring these days. Okay. We are specifically looking for a video tech. Someone that understands switchers and cameras and lenses and streaming boxes and all the things that, you know, interconnectivity of those things. We're also looking for a head of sales, somebody that loves the church, that understands gear, that understands, you know, mathematical equations of pricing models and all that stuff that can lead that charge. And then we're always just looking for more techs, guys that want to be drivers for us, that want to be put on a plane to Denver, meet with a church, rent a truck, pick up all their gear, drive it back to Nashville.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're going to definitely put links to all that stuff down below. They can, there's a place they can reach out on your website for applying or reaching out to you about those roles. And then, hey, Blake, we were talking about a link or a promo code or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Use code Churchfront for 10% off anything you saw here today, anything on the site-wide.
Is it
off.
1 word or 2?
It's 1 word, Churchfront, just like the company name, right? Y'all are 1 word, not Church Gear, Churchfront. Use code Churchfront for 10% off.
Does it have to be capitalized?
It doesn't. Any caps you want to do.
So we've had these questions before. We want to make sure that all these people...
And the other thing too is that promo code is probably going to be only available for a limited time. So if you're watching this video a year or 5 years from now,
it's gone.
It's probably gone. Okay.
It's gone.
So we'll put the promo code expiration date in by the links.
And there's no limit. You can buy $100,000 of gear, you'll still get 10% off.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much, Church Gear, for this walkthrough of your factory. Congrats on your new, bigger space. You definitely need it. This place is crammed. But yeah, guys, go check out their website. Check out the links below. Like, subscribe. I think these guys have a podcast as well. I don't think, I know, because I was on it this morning.
Yes, the Church Gear Podcast.
Just go search it where podcasts can be searched. See you guys next time. Bye.